We are going to see this through to the end, and we will be here for as long as it takes. Because getting tired and giving up and quitting is a luxury that none of us can afford.
My name is Kimberly Bernard. I am 31. The name of my group is Black Women's March. I lived in New York for 7 years. I just recently moved to New Jersey. I am a writer, and I am a mother of 3. My very first march was a march that I joined with. It was Warriors in the Garden and Freedom March NYC, and I joined them just as they had merged, and we marched to Washington Square Park, and it was extremely powerful and beautiful, and that was my very first march on June 4th. It was never my intention to be a leader. It was never my intention to speak at all. I really just wanted to come out and show my support and to march with everyone else. I was watching it from home, and I was seeing the riots, and I was seeing people abused, and it just didn't feel right to be at home watching and to not be a part of it. And so I went out only to march until I met a group, a wonderful group of organizers, and I started organizing with them. That group is now known as the People's March. We started organizing together. For me, that journey with them started on June 8th, and we've been organizing together ever since. When the opportunity came to speak, I spoke. It was very well received, and I realized that I had a lot to say that I didn't realize I had to say, and for some reason, whenever I do speak, a lot of people are moved, and so I just found myself continuing to speak and continuing to lead in this movement. The most major change in my life that has come about as a result of being a part of this movement is probably the community that I am now a part of. I'm now a part of this community of organizers and activists in New York City. Some people are new to organizing, like myself, and there are other people who have been organizing since, Mike Brown, and some before that. Many of these people that I'm now organizing with are very young, much younger than me. Some of them are 17, 19, mid-20s, early 30s, and we formed this little community of people who are trying to make change in this country, and we're now family, and that to me is the biggest change that has happened in my life personally since I started this movement. So managing my daily life and being a part of this movement has not been easy. I am a writer, and around the time, I haven't written anything since George Floyd was murdered. When George Floyd was murdered, that was the last time I wrote anything. And so my life has changed in that way. It is also difficult just juggling motherhood in general, and my dreams and all the things that I wanted to do, as well as being a part of this movement, because this movement thus far has literally taken up 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I eat, sleep, breathe, drink, everything this movement. Everything that I think about these days seems to be, how can we move this movement forward day by day? And so it has consumed my life in that way. I feel that this movement is very different from others, and not that any other movements have been less important, but this movement is different because I feel as though, as I've described it before in speeches, it's almost like a 4 by 100 meter relay. And so I feel like leaders that came before us and movements that came before us, they did their part, and now they've passed the baton to us. And my generation, millennials and Gen Zs, we're on the final leg of the race, and so it's up to us now to be bold in asking for every single thing that we want. And so that's why our demands are so bold, and I think we're different and unique in that way. We're not just saying give us the bare minimum. We're not just saying stop killing us. What we're saying is we want a complete overhaul of the criminal justice system. We want a complete overhaul of policing in this country. And so we have to be very bold in asking for everything. And so some of the words that you'll hear often in this movement are defund the police and abolish the police. Or we're calling for abolition because what we want is something new and better in its place that works for all people in this country. What I'm hoping will be achieved in the next year in this movement, I'm hoping that we will have real, true systemic change. I would like for the defunding of policing in America, and what that means is having resources moved and reallocated. So, for example, when there's a mental health emergency, I would love to see that police officers aren't dispatched, because when police officers are dispatched to mental health calls, what happens is they don't de-escalate, they escalate. And it often ends in that person's murder, especially if the person facing the mental health emergency is a Black man or woman. So that is one thing that I would really love to see change. I would love to see the NYPD out of public schools altogether, and I would love to see those funds reallocated into Black and brown neighborhoods and into public schools where Black and brown children go. So what is my dream? So my personal dream is to have change, real, true systemic change in this country, so that I can actually begin to pursue what I was pursuing prior to this movement, which is writing, writing for film and television. So that's my dream. Before George Floyd's murder, Ahmaud Arbery was murdered, and I had began working on a script for Ahmaud Arbery's, detailing Ahmaud Arbery's murder. And what I would like to happen is to have that script completed and for it to become a movie so that we can honor his life in that way. That's my personal dream. Overall, my big picture dream is for this country to be changed so that Black people in this country can not only exist and merely survive, but they can actually live and thrive. And Black children, like my children, can grow up knowing that their lives are not constantly under attack, or that they don't have a big bullseye on their backs everywhere they go.